Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going over the Approved Ops 2025 card pack. But before we go into things, thanks goes to Games Workshop, provided this to review for free. As always, I aim to be honest, impartial, and constructively critical. But please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video, if you found it useful and helpful. Remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate code on Games, an affiliate discount code at Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. But let's get on with today's video. So yeah, this is the Approved Ops 2025 card pack. This replaces Approved Ops 2024, and this will be the new competitive standard for playing Kill Team. So once it's released, which should be, I think, September 13th, unlucky for some, which will basically mean everyone's playing this everywhere. It's gonna cause some fun changes. So let's get into it. So starting off with the crit op, I won't be going over secure, loot, and transmission. I've already covered those. Those are just standard solid objectives. These are the brand new crit ops. So going forward, we've got 6 new crit ops. So first up, we got Orb. Love me some Orb. I'm gonna get a giant orb. I'm gonna ponder my orb. So additional rules: at the start of the battle, the central objective marker has the orb token. So you need to put a giant orb on it. So for the mission action, you have 1 action point, move orb. So if the active operative controls the objective marker that has the orb token, move the token as follows. If the center objective marker has it, move it to either player's objective marker, your choice. If a player's objective marker has it, move it to the center objective marker. An operative cannot perform this action during the first turning point while within control range of an enemy operative, or if it doesn't control the objective marker that has the orb token. So victory points at the end of each turning point after the first. For each objective marker friendly operatives control that doesn't have the orb token, you score 1 VP. So in some scenarios, you could be scoring 0 CP. So this is a very interesting mission when you have the same amount of activations as your opponent. When you heavily out-activate your opponent, however, it's very bad. It's a fun meme mission, like orb. Seriously, I need an orb. But, for example, let's say my opponent has 8 activations, I have 10. They last, move on to the middle, last activation, because they flip it to me, right? Then I have 2 activations to now go flip it to them, and then if I can control the mid, I can flip it onto theirs. And if I'm controlling the mid and my own objective, I get 2 points and they get none. So while I do love the meme potential of this mission, and I love the orb so much, I need an orb in my life. I have a giant orb which I consult daily and just ponder. But I like it when you have equal activations. The problem is when you heavily activate your opponent. So you're going to have to really think about how this works, but it's really weird hot potato. But it's an interesting mission. Then you've got Stake Claim. Additional rules. At the start of the gambit step of each strategy phase after the first, starting with the player with initiative, each player must select both one objective marker and one of the following claims for that turning point. You either say friendly operatives will control that objective marker at the end of this turning point, or enemy operatives won't contest that objective marker at the end of this turning point. Each player cannot select each objective marker more than once per battle, so they must select each objective marker once during the battle. At the end of each turning point, if friendly objective markers control more objective markers than enemy operatives do, you score 1 VP. If your selected claim is true, you score 1 VP. So the way this works is you pick one objective every turning point, and you have to select a different objective, and then you either select that you'll control it or your opponent won't. Then if you control the most objective markers, you get 1, and if your claim is true, you get a second. So even if your claim is true but you don't control more, you get 1. But this is very easy also to get 0 points on, especially if you're out-activated. Turning point 2, you select your own objective, and generally you're going to say you will control it. That is the safest one to pick. Then turning point 3, you will have to pick the middle, and that's going to be the toughest one. Then turning point 4, you're going to have to select your opponent's one, and you're probably going to have to go for your enemy. You will control the objective. So I can see this as a mission where most people probably get 4 or 5 on it. Getting 6 is going to be very hard, and you're going to have to be very aggressive with it. But it's going to be an interesting mission. Once again, this heavily favors someone who out-activates you by quite a lot, because they can set this up a lot. But if you're playing very defensively and control the objective well, it's not too bad. But it does mean you have to pay more attention to the crit op. Then you've got energy cells. Operatives can perform the pickup marker action upon each objective marker in the following turning points. On turning point 2 you can, but you must spend an additional 2 action points that cannot be free, and its 8 action points cannot be reduced. On turning point 3, but you must select an additional action point, and that cannot be free or have its AP reduced. And then turning point 4 done as normal. Whenever an operative is carrying an objective marker, that operative cannot be removed and set up again more than 6 inches. And then at the end of each turning point, if friendly objectives control more objective markers than enemy operatives do, you score 1 VP. And then at the end of the battle, for each objective marker friendly operatives are carrying, you score 1 victory point. So this is a very interesting mission. Generally, you're going to want to pick, if you want to pick up objectives turning point 2, it's going to cost you 3 action points. So you're going to generally have to start on them to pick them up. So ideally you want to pick up your home objective first. But this is a really weird mission where effectively on a turn by turn basis, you're getting 1 victory point because it's whoever controls the most gets 1 victory point. Then at the end of the battle, for each objective marker you're carrying, you get an additional victory point. So if you want all 6 victory points, you're going to have to carry all 3 objectives. So this is once again going to be very hard to actually score well on, where it's going to come down to basically you and your opponent are going to pick up your own home objective first. You have to. And then ideally you want to pick up the second home objective, turning point 2 or 3, and then just run away with it. So that's going to be the hardest thing to do, because it's like controlling more is always going to be difficult, but you want to control more. And I think going for all 3, like this is a crit op where you effectively can never max. If you've maxed it, something's gone wrong in your game for you or your opponent. But it's an interesting mission. I like it. This is a mission where it's really weird. It's very tight scoring. So if you're doing in a tournament with total VP as a secondary tiebreaker after number of wins, you may not want to run energy cells, but it's still a very good mission, I think. Then you've got download. You can download for 1 action point. For 1 center or opponent's objective marker, the active objective control is downloaded. You cannot do it into the first or second turning point while within control range of an enemy operative, or if the objective marker has already been downloaded during the battle. At the end of each turning point after the first, if friendly operatives control more objective markers than enemy operatives do, you score 1 VP. Ignore downloaded objective markers when determining this. And then whenever a friendly operative performs the download action during the 3rd turning point, you score 1 VP, and when you do it during the 4th turning point, you score 2 VP. So download is kind of like a really weird loot, a very strange loot. So from turning point 2, it's whoever controls the most. Then turning point 3, when you download an objective, you turn it off, but you get a VP for doing it. But you also have to stage it right, because if that objective marker has already been downloaded, you can't download it again. So this is very hard to get 6 from, and this really actually incentivizes you getting the initiative, especially turning point 3, because what you can do, if you can run onto your opponent's objective and download it, you can actually get 1 to 2 VP and then effectively turn it off. So this is really a weird mission. I don't like this one. I think this one can be very toxic because it's abused more by certain kill teams and rushdown stuff. But it's just a bit of a weird objective marker. This can definitely be a crit op where no one scores 6 VP. It's very weird. Then you've got data. Compile data for 1 action point. 1 objective marker the active operative controls gains 1 data point. Use a dice as a token to keep track of data points at the objective marker, and you cannot do it during the 1st turning point while within control range of an enemy operative, or if that marker has already gained a data point during the turning point. Then you've got send but data. Remove all data points from an objective marker the active operative controls. An operative cannot perform this during the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd turning point while within control range of enemy operatives, or if an objective marker doesn't have any data points to remove. So you can only do that during turning point 4. At the end of the 2nd and 3rd turning points, if friendly operatives have performed more compiled data actions during the turning point than enemy operatives have, you score 1 VP. And then whenever a friendly operative performs the send data action, you score a number of VP equal to the number of data points removed. So this is kind of like gambly loot where you and your opponent just start putting upload. You're just uploading data, and then turning point 4, it's a scramble for whoever can just pop it first. So turning point 4 is crucial here, because generally you're going to get 1 VP to 2 VP every time you compile data, but then turning point 3, you can just like send them all off. So you can let your opponent just compile on the mid. So they go like, okay, cool. We've popped up on the mid, and then you just go like, bam. Really favors great group activation and go in first. So this is a very interesting mission. I like it a lot. It's really switches out the tempo. Then you've got Reboot, which was an amazing show. Additional rules. When setting up the battle, after setting up objective markers, number each objective marker 1 to 3. At the start of the gambit step of each strategy phase, each player secretly selects one objective marker by putting a number of dice in their hand corresponding to the objective marker's number. They then reveal their selection simultaneously. If both players selected the same one, that objective marker is inert during the turning point. If not, the objective marker that neither player selected is inert during the turning point. Then you've got Reboot. For 2 action points, 1 inert objective marker, the active controls is no longer inert, and you cannot do it in the first turning point or while within control range of enemy operatives. At the end of each turning point after the first, for each objective marker friendly operatives control, you score 1 VB. Ignore inert objective markers when determining this. So Reboot is just like gamble. You always pick the middle objective. The middle objective is the safest because if you've both turned off the middle objective, it's fine. Because if the opponent goes like, I'm going to select my objective, and then you go, cool, so I've selected the middle, you've selected off your own, so my one turns off, I'm just going to spend 2 action points to reboot it. Like, it's no big deal. The problem is if you and your opponent select your own, the middle turns off, which then becomes very difficult. But, you know, it's not bad if you both select your own objectives, because if you out-activate, last activation, you can just run on, reboot it. Like, it's a very interesting mission. This is more like, it's just rock, paper, scissors, but more extreme. And I like it. I like Reboot. It's really fun. So next, let's go on to the Tac Ops. So we have, the archetypes are the same, but they're all brand new. So starting off with Seek and Destroy, we have Dominate. So reveal the first time an enemy operative is incapacitated by a friendly operative. Each time a friendly operative incapacitates an enemy operative, that friendly operative gains one of your Dominate tokens. Victory points. At the end of the 3rd and 4th turning points, you can remove Dominate tokens from friendly operatives that aren't incapacitated. For each you remove, score 1 victory point. You cannot score more than 3 victory points from this operative from this op per turning point. This is solid. It does heavily favor elites. The big downside here is if you're into a 5 operative kill team, you don't get points based on like how many wounds they have, which really sucks. So Dominate is actually only really good into hordes, you know. Otherwise, I can see Raveners taking this and some elite kill teams, but you do have to gamble, because the problem is, let's say you get 3 kills and you go like, cool, I'm going to remove the one with 3 and get 3 victory points from it. Then you've got someone with 2. If your opponent just kills that, because even if they go up to 3, then you're kind of just stuck on 3 victory points. So Dominate's good, but it's very kill team specific. Then you've got Sweep and Clear. You reveal this the first time an enemy operative is incapacitated while contesting an objective marker, or the first time a friendly operative performs a clear action, whichever comes first. When an enemy operative that contests an objective marker is incapacitated, that objective marker gains one of your sweep tokens, if it doesn't already have one, until the ready step of the next strategy phase. Then you've got Clear. For 1 action point, an objective marker the operative controls is cleared for the turning point. You cannot perform this action during the first turning point or while within control range of an enemy operative. At the end of each turning point after the first, if a friendly operative controls any objective markers that have one of your sweep tokens, you score 1 VP. If this is true and any of those objective markers are also cleared, you score 2 VP instead. You cannot score more than 2 VP per turning point. This is okay. The problem is your opponent can just like play around it a lot, and it's a lot of work. It's basically elites only, you know, because they have the ways to score this and clear it. But it's just a lot of work. And while the crit ops require more engagement with the objective markers, I still don't really like Sweep and Clear. And then we got like the best tac op ever. Route. Route is back. You reveal it the first time you score VP. Whenever a friendly operative incapacitates an enemy operative, if that friendly operative is within 6 inches of your opponent's drop zone, you score 1 VP. If this is true and the enemy operative had a wound stat of 12 or more, you score 2 VP instead. You cannot score more than 2 VP from this op per turning point. It's amazing. Route is back. So it's just amazing. Like, my only problem is like the running theme with tac ops for this year is that they're hard to max. This is very easy to max. I think they should have changed it so either I think it should have been better like within 8 inches of your opponent's kill zone edge or within 3 inches of their drop zone. It's kind of too huge a range because it's just so easy to score for any seek and destroy team into even elites. You just run into one elite. Remember, you have to be within 6 inches of the enemy drop zone, not the enemy operative. So you can even move up one of your shooting operatives and get rid of them. Amazing. 5 out of 5. Like, I think you always take her out if you're a seek and destroy kill team. So good. With security, you've got plant banner. You reveal it when you do the plant banner action. For 1 action point, place your banner mission marker within the active operative's control range, wholly within your opponent's territory, and more than 5 inches from a neutral kill zone edge. Operatives can perform the pickup marker on your banner mission marker. An operative cannot perform this during the first turning point while within control range of an enemy operative, or if a friendly operative will perform this action during the battle. At the end of each turning point after the first, if your banner mission marker is wholly within your opponent's territory and friendly operatives control it, you score 1 VP. If that's true and no enemy operatives contest it, you score 2 VP instead. Note that your banner mission marker must be in the kill zone to score. So the problem is your opponent can contest this quite easily by just contesting it. So you are encouraged to pick it up. So it's kind of free APL that you need because you need to reposition, plant it, then pick it up, right? So if you've got a really tanky operative, this is actually pretty good, especially if you can get them on like the second floor Vocus. But that's a lot of movement to do this. But regardless, it's okay. It's very kill team specific, but especially when you do this like last activation, the only problem is where you place it, you have to make sure you can defend it. Because if you do it last activation turning point 2, your opponent is going to commit a lot of resources to stop you maxing it. So you have to be careful where you place this. Then you've got martyrs. The first time an enemy operative is incapacitated while contesting an objective marker, this is revealed. When a friendly operative is incapacitated while contesting an objective marker, that marker gains 1 of your martyr tokens. At the end of each turning point after the first, if friendly operatives contest an objective marker that has 1 or more of your martyr tokens, you can remove any of those tokens. For each token you remove in this way, you score 1 VP. If friendly operatives also control that marker, you score 2 VP instead. You cannot score more than 2 victory points per op from this turning point. I actually like this. I was at first against this, but I think this is really good into large security teams. So for horde teams, considering like elites are going to be like messing up you on objectives, this is really good. Like, especially if you've got throwaway objectives, you can just go, cool, I'm going to run on and pop this and then drop a martyrdom objective. It's like really good, especially when you can now activate and control. I think this is great. It's really nice. Then we've got Envoy. It's revealed the first time you select an Envoy as a strategic gambit in each turning point after the first. Select 1 friendly operative to be your Envoy until the ready step of the next strategy phase. You cannot select an operative you selected in a previous turning point. At the end of each turning point after the first, if your Envoy is wholly within enemy territory and not within control range of enemy operatives, you score 1 VP. If this is true and your Envoy have not lost any wins during that turning point, you score 2 victory points instead. This is amazing for horde teams, horde security teams, especially if they're fast. You do have to have 3 operatives that you can select, but this is very reliable to actually get 6 VP, especially if you heavily activate your opponent. Really good if you're playing quite defensively. Amazing. Then for Recon, we've got Flank. You reveal it as a strategic gambit. You divide the kill zone into 2 flanks, left and right, by drawing an imaginary line that's just like the center line, except it runs from the center of each player's kill zone edge. An operative contests the flank while both wholly within it and within their opponent's territory. Friendly operatives control a flank if the total APL stats of those contesting it is greater than of enemy operatives. For victory points, after you reveal this op, at the end of each turning point after the first, for each flank you control, you score 1 VP, and if you control the flank at the end of the previous turning point, you score 2. You cannot score more than 2 VP a turning point for this. So you kind of have to ignore the image, but effectively you split the kill zone into 2 halves, and then if you're wholly within your opponent's territory and have more APL than they do, you control that flank. So if you want to get 6 victory points from this, you have to control the left and right flank, turning point 2, and then you can just focus on the flank thereafter. Really good for rushdown teams, but it's actually quite hard to consistently max, especially if your opponent just decides to weigh onto one flank. But it's all right. Then you've got Retrieval, which you reveal the first time you score victory points from it. Then you've got Retrieve for 1 action point. If the active operative controls an objective marker that hasn't been searched by friendly operatives, the operative is now carrying one of your retrieval mission markers and that objective has been searched. Friendly operatives can perform the pickup marker on retrieval mission markers. You cannot do this during the first turning point while within control range of enemy operatives. The first time each objective marker is searched by friendly operatives, you score 1 VP, and at the end of the battle, for each retrieval mission marker you carry, you score 1 more. Not only do you have to loot each objective, like you have to search each objective marker to get 1 VP, you then have to be carrying them at the end of the game to score the extra ones. So this is actually really tough because you have to control and pick up all 3 objective markers. So this is really hard to do. I could see maybe aggressive recon teams like Goremongers doing this, but this is really hard. Then you've got scout enemy movement. You reveal it the first time before them a scout action. So scout is 1 action point. Select 1 ready enemy operative visible and more than 6 inches from enemy operatives, from the active operative. The enemy operative is now monitored until the ready step of the next strategy phase. You cannot do this while you'll have an engage order during the first turning point or while the control range of enemy operatives. And then at the end of each turning point after the first, for each enemy operative monitored that's visible and visible to friendly operatives, you score 1 VP. No, it doesn't have to be the friendly operative that performed the scout action. And you cannot score more than 2 victory points per op from this turning point. I think this Tac Op is cracked, mainly into elites. But the problem is, you look at your opponent, like, because generally recon teams have operatives who can waste to do scout, like a lot of like the higher tech team, like the Necron teams, and then you just go like, okay, I'm gonna pick your aggressive guy. If you run on to me, you will die, but you might score the crit up, or you can run away and hide, and then I get the crit up and go ahead on the kill up regardless. But the other problem is, if you can yeet someone, you can have one of your friendly operatives score the victory points for both scouted operatives. So even if your opponent hides somewhere with both of those operatives, as long as you have the mobility to yeet any one operative, they can get 2 VP from this. I think this is too good, and it probably needs a nerf, like especially like similar with route. But personally, I think you either have to make it like each operative can only be scouted by 1 friendly operative, so you have to have 2 different operatives to scout 2 different operatives, or you can only select valid targets. Visible is kind of too good. But otherwise, I think it's great. Then for infiltration, you've got plant devices. So you reveal this the first time an enemy operative performs the plant device action. Then you've got plant device. 1 objective marker you control gains 1 of your device tokens. Can't do it during turning point 1 or the control range, or if it already has a device token. At the end of each turning point after the first, if your opponent's objective marker has 1 of your device tokens, you score 1 VP. For each other objective marker operatives contest that, or any operatives contest that has 1 of your device tokens, you score 1 VP. So you cannot score more than 2 VP. So the memes are real. We have willed Wiretap back into existence. It survived. But this is slightly better because the crit ops require engagement. So onto certain crit ops, you can actually quite reliably score 6 points on this, especially if you just like run on and plant onto your plant device onto your opponent's objective. Very thematic, but it's solid. It's very crit op dependent, but I think it's all right. And then you've got track enemy. You reveal it the first time you score victory points from this op. An enemy operative is being tracked if it's a valid target for a friendly operative within 6 inches of it, and that friendly operative must have a conceal order, cannot be a valid target for enemy operatives attempting to track, and cannot be within control range of enemy operatives. At the end of each turning point after the first, if 1 enemy operative is being tracked, you score 1 victory point, or 2 victory points if it's the 4th turning point. And if 2 or more enemies are being tracked, you score 2 VP, and you cannot score more than 2 VP at turning point. This is a harder gather surveillance, and I don't think it's that great. You now have to be within 6. It's very difficult to set up. It's good turning point 4, but I think it's a bit of a dud. Very action point intensive, and you have to be close to do it. Very tough. Then you've got steal intelligence. Secure the enemy briefcase. So you reveal it the first time an enemy operative is incapacitated. When an enemy operative is incapacitated, before it's removed from the kill zone, place 1 of your intelligence mission markers within its control range. Friendly operatives can perform the pickup marker action on your intelligence mission markers, and for the purpose of that action's conditions, ignore the first intelligence mission marker that the operative is carrying. In other words, each friendly operative can carry 2 intelligence markers, or 1 and 1 other marker. At the end of each turning point after the first, if any friendly operatives are carrying 1 of your intelligence mission markers, you score 1 VP, and at the end of the battle, for each of your intelligence mission markers that friendly operatives are carrying, you score 1 VP. So this is like a better balanced confirmed kill. The issue is you do have to pick up, right? But this is like an interesting way to play infiltration for infiltration kill teams. So I think I really like it because a lot of them either have the bodies or the APL tricks to do it, but it's a balanced Tac Op. I think I like it a lot, but infiltration is definitely a lot better this time around. Very tempting. It's very, very cool because we have a lot of melee teams. Like, I think like Nemesis Claw are going to love this, but it's really good. So here we have the new approved ops mission pack flowchart. So this replaces how the game flows, and there's been some changes. So this is a PvP mission pack for head-to-head gameplay. It's ideal for players who want the most balanced, up-to-date, and in-depth version of Kill Team. Each player must score VP during the game from 3 different ops. So you got the crit kill Tac Op, and then primary op as a strategic op, which is unchanged. So there are some changes. So you got set up the battle. So each player selects a kill team, then you determine kill zone and terrain features, determine one shared crit op and set up objective markers other than in kill zone beta decimal, all are on the kill zone floor. Then you roll off to see who has initiative. The player with initiative selects one drop zone. Their opponent has the other drop zone and gains 1 reroll initiative card. Then in the select operatives, that's all unchanged, and setup is also unchanged as well. And now we go to play the battle. So scouting's gone, by the way. Scouting is all gone. You know, that iconic feature of Kill Team, the thing that kind of set it up made it different from other other games, it's gone, completely gone. So to determine initiative during each turning point, including the first, the players roll off, but don't re-roll ties. Starting with the loser of the roll-off, each player alternates either using an initiative card to alter their roll result, explained below, or passing, until both players pass in succession. If players would use their kill team's rules to affect the roll-off, they must do so before playing initiative cards, starting with the player that's losing the roll-off. The reroll initiative card, see step 1, allows the player to reroll their initiative roll. The main initiative cards modify the player's roll result up or down. This can take it above 6 or below 1. For example, if a player rolls a 5 and plays the +2 or -2, they can modify their roll result to 3 or 7. If a player uses the reroll initiative card after they've modified their roll result, the new result supersedes the modifications used so far. The winner of the roll-off decides who has initiative, excluding the 4th turning point. The loser of the roll-off gains an initiative card equal to the turning point number, e.g. in the 2nd turning point they would get +2, -2. If the roll-off is a tie, the player who doesn't currently have initiative is the winner. Note that's the loser of the roll-off that gains the initiative card, not the player without initiative. Then as the strategic gambit in the 1st turning point, each player secretly selects one of their 3 crit ops to be their primary op, and then each player can score a maximum of 6 from each op. Then at the end of the battle, all unchanged, so you get half the points from your primary op, and the player with the most victory points are the winner. So yeah, scouting's gone. Scouting's completely gone. Instead of speeding up the game, I think they've made it slower, and I originally thought it was just going to be +1 initiative from turning point 2 onwards, but the way they've done it is, in my opinion, catastrophic and very bad for the game. So not only have we lost scouting, which was a nice like rock, paper, scissors, now we have a much more complicated way to determine initiative and more unpredictable. So for example, we finished deploying, I had initiative, then me and my opponent, we don't roll off together at the same time. I have initiative, so they roll off first, and then I roll. And then we decide who goes first or second, and then if we tie, we don't re-roll. The person who doesn't have initiative gains it. So my big issue is it's just a mess. It's just too much dice rolling, more annoying dice rolling, and they've actually slowed down the dice rolling because now you and your opponent have to take turns, and then it just adds more length to the game because now you have to decide when you want to lose initiative. And I've already been chatting to players who are like, actually, we can probably play these teams to ensure we lose the roll turning point 2. So then going into turning point 3, like the key turning point of the game, we're getting +2, maybe even +3 to the initiative roll with maybe a reroll. So we can ensure we win turning point 3 and like destroy the opponent, or bank it to turn 4 and win. Like, it was much better if they just said the player who didn't win the roll off and was made to go second is the only one who gets the 2 victory points. So the 2 command points that are just like, oh, I choose to go second, I get 2 command points. This is really abusable, and it's really disappointing because I actually respect how the Age of Sigmar developers have basically refused to listen to people who complain about the initiative system, and I feel like the Kill Team devs have effectively caved to Redditors, like people online who just blame all their losses on initiative, and they've made it crazy. Like if it was kind of like +1 and we didn't lose the scouting step, so every time you lost you got a +1, like you could end up with a +6 to the initiative roll. You might as well just say you win initiative, and it doesn't really like reward the tactical depth of Kill Team. It's just like it feels like the devs don't know what they're doing, and we've lost scouting. Scouting was like really key, and I don't know why the devs have removed scouting. They've made the setup step longer, and they've removed a big part of the identity of Kill Team. Generally feels like they don't know what they're doing. It's not great, and probably they're listening to some kind of echo chamber which is telling them this is good. And yeah, the competitive players I've been chatting with, we think it's going to end up so broken that Kill Teams that can abuse the initiative are going to have those abilities removed or like changed in some way, because you could end up in ways where you can ensure you go turning point 3 or turning point 4, which can before you couldn't do. So you can now be in situations where you would go, oh, I need this to happen, but I can't really enforce it to like, yeah, I'm going to make sure I win the game now. But, you know, that's great. And not only that, as you can see, you've got the reroll initiative card, +1 to your initiative, +2, +3. The kill zones. So they've changed kill zone focus. So here you can see the new 6 maps for focus. I'm not a fan of these either, because I think they've stepped into the bad game design, where I think Vocus has a fine amount of terrain and there's nothing wrong with defendable objectives, but you'll see in all the maps, they all have objectives. So they're color coded. So each one is color coded to someone's player. So that's one of their objectives. And the black objective is the central objective. But the problem is the objectives are in ways that are basically very pro shooting. And we already have a pro shooting kill zone. And the problem is, all that really incentivizes, some people think that pushes skill. All that means is, do you have super cover or do you have more activations? No, well then I win on this crit op. It's very strange. So like going through with map 1 is okay, but I would say the red side is way stronger because the red objective is easier to defend. You can more safely push into the grey side objective, and the central objective will be easy to contest because you can just put a ladder and just climb and charge. Then in map 2 is a little better because you've got heavy objective, like heavy cover in between the middle objective, so you can like safely stage up. Although this time I think I would still say that the red side is better, because even though the left side has a stronghold, it's not in the best place and there's light cover there. So if you want to like defend it, you're in a really chargeable place. And then for map 3, I would say that's once again all right, pretty fine. I think that's okay. Then in map 4 isn't great. I would probably say that red side is better because they've got a much easier objective to defend, whereas the grey side is very easy to contest. And then the central objective, it's just pointless. So it's just like a death zone. So whoever goes there loses. Then on map 5 is okay. I think map 5 is it incentivizes the problem with who gets to the mid first, or who gets to the mid last, depending on who that is. And then map 6, it's okay, but I do think red side is better. It's got a much more defendable objective and much easier to like hide from. But overall, it's not great. I think it's like a step down. I appreciate what they've done, but it's not amazing. But the thing is, it's not a huge issue. Like, we've got 6 prior Vocus maps, so now we have 12 maps to select. There's no reason we can't use the prior 6 maps, so we have some nice variation. So, you know, even if, like, I don't like these maps, like, for my events, I could use the old ones, or you can mix and match, so you can have a good selection of 6 maps. So, you know, even though I feel the maps have gotten worse, it's not a downside. Now we've got the Toon World maps. So the Toon World maps are, they're unfortunately still big rooms. They're less asymmetric, which is good, but they are still big rooms. But now there's more scatter cover, so it's okay. Like in map 1, that's all right. I would say it's a near symmetrical map. Oddly, is like, so you've got the teleport map pads in the middle, so they're kind of like pointless. But also the other pointless thing is the breach points are in the middle of the kill zone, which just feel weird. It's kind of like, oh yeah, but you could stun the person on the other side. And I was like, or just run around and charge them, you know? It feels like it's in a weird spot, but the map's okay otherwise. You've just got like a literally objective in the room of death, which is good map design for crazy people. Then for map 2, this is actually I feel like it's a last edition map. We had this before, which didn't have an objective in the middle, and they've put it down the corridor of death. Oddly, in a way that terrain can't really be placed, which is funny. But that's okay. That's literally an old map we used to have in last edition. Then map 3, that's just kind of, once again, lanes. Nothing crazy there. This is where the teleporter is more interesting. Like on map 2, it's okay. I think the teleport is very interesting because you can all of a sudden get around the other side and do some crazy stuff. Then map 4, that's okay. Just big rooms, but the central objective is more easy to fight and contest over, like without getting exploded, which is good. Map 5 looks nice as well. I think that's pretty solid. And then map 6, that's pretty cool as well. I would say for map 6, red side is probably easier, but once again, my issue is the breach points aren't really in interesting places. They're just on your kill zone edge and they're next to doors. It doesn't do much, but the maps are good. I think they're pretty good, all right. But I'm more interested to see what Squad Games do with the maps because they can probably build better maps. Then we've got Gallo Dark maps. Unfortunately, they're completely unchanged, which to me gives off big energy of enjoy Gallo Dark while we still sell it. We're not going to change anything, which is a bit of a disappointment. I would have liked to see more Games Workshop maps of Gallo Dark, but once again, the Squad Game LVO maps for Gallo Dark are way better, so I would just highly recommend those instead. And then we've got Beta Decima. For whoever still plays Beta Decima, you can use these new horrible layouts. I would like to point out, like these maps are horrible. The funniest one is map 5. If you look on map 5, there's an objective in the water. No one can score that objective unless that objective is hovering in the air or it's a misprint. Like, regardless, there's an objective no one can score. That's how much they care about Beta Decima. They didn't even properly check if it was actually playable. That's hilarious. Sorry if you liked Beta Decima. Then you've got the custom map layouts, which are also unchanged, which is a bit of a shame. But it means I don't have to update my map pack. So that's great for me. Nice and lazy. And that's all the terrain maps. So for the approved Ops 2025 overview, I have some mixed feelings. I do like the new crit ops. I like how they're harder to max, but also harder just to always score 1 point on. I think that's a really good change. So you actually do have to engage with the crit op more, which is really good because a lot of people would just be like, I just get 1 point, doesn't matter. Like it's really easy for me to just get 1 point, like one objective and get 2 victory points. So I like that they've made the missions more interesting. I will say they heavily favor teams that activate the opponent. So 12 and 11 activation teams are going to be very strong into this meta, but you're still limited by 3 objectives. Shout outs to Orb for just the most ponderous objective because I need to ponder my Orb. And then the Tac Ops, I'm actually a big fan of the new Tac Ops. I think route and scout enemy movements will be a problem. Scout probably needs to be an errata as well as scout enemy movements because the issue is I like how generally all the Tac Ops are very hard to max, and some you can't even max, like into certain kill teams, for example, like Dominate, for example. I really wish they change route because I love route, but I completely accept route is broken at the moment because it's so easy to max, and it feels opposite to how, you know, the game should play. Kill op is also unchanged, which is bad because they need to tweak some kill grades. And then I don't like the initiative system. I think it's dumb. I think the devs caved to the wrong people, and it just continues and reinforces my feeling that they don't understand Kill Team. They just don't understand how the game works. It's a shame that the Age of Sigmar devs show more understanding and resolve about their own game system than seemingly the Kill Team devs do, because changing the initiative system in such a heavy way and getting rid of scouting, because the ramification is, while a lot of people were picking an extra scouting option, it was because some of the kill zones are so bad for certain kill teams that you have to take extra equipment to be a playable experience. And now it's like it really impacts older kill zones and kill zones you're not using Games Workshop layouts, because now you're like, oh gosh, I have to take, if I'm playing Gallowdark and I'm playing the GWA, or even not, I have to spend an equipment point on light barricades. Normally I would use like my scouting option so I still have some selection. Now I'm kind of screwed, especially on Beta Decima. So I wouldn't be surprised if TO's house rule for those kill zones, people get an extra equipment choice. And then it's just like, I feel like the devs maybe thought people only took extra equipment, but there was a lot of game from taking the extra movement or the free ploy. It actually helped a lot of kill teams, especially those starved for CP. And it was just really, like, it was the kill team identity. It's been in the game since it was first made as a proper standalone game system, and they got rid of it for rerolls and dice mods. And it just feels lazy. It feels like they don't understand how that impacts on the system. And it feels like the issue is, I 100% believe they cave to people who blame all their losses on the initiative system. Like, oh, I lost initiative, so I lost the game. When those people will still complain, oh, I lost because I still didn't roll well. You know, I only got one initiative card. I really should have gotten two. And I feel like if they had gone slowly instead of just going heavy, like especially if the initiative mod cards were just +1 or -1 every time, the fact that it's +1, +2, +3, it's just crazy. Like you will be guaranteed. You might as well just go like, oh, if you haven't won initiative turning point 4, you get initiative turning point 4. It would have been a more elegant way. And I feel they really don't realize how abusable it is. So I hate the initiative system. And I'm not a fan of the new Volcus maps. I feel like, once again, they're very pro-shooting. And the thing is, when you make pro-shooting boards, you're going to make people have a worse time than the last set of boards. But as I said, you've got 12 Volcus maps now. So you can use and mix and match both, which isn't a big issue. But I do like the 2 mod maps. I think the 2 mod maps are pretty solid. They are helped by having more scatter, although if you have Seek Light, you will dominate on those kill zones. But they're very, very good. The only problem I have with the 2 mod maps is just in a lot of places, the breach points are just in strange places where they either are kind of pointless, or to go out of your way to breach them would be a detriment to, instead of just moving around and shooting or charging. So it just feels odd. But I like the 2 mod maps. Disappointed we didn't get new Gallowdark. The Beta Decima maps are hilarious. The fact one of them isn't legal and they didn't bother to check that, hilarious. I'd still recommend Approved Ops 2025 because you kind of have to. I just feel like it's good. It's got great elements and it's also got terrible elements. But the great elements outweigh the terrible elements in terms of the more interesting crit ops and the better Tac Ops. The Tac Ops, if they're a problem, I hope they'll address, which they should. The new kill zones are pretty interesting, namely 2 mode. The Volcus maps, initiative system, bad. It feels weird. Very weird. And I'll be especially soured if this sells out really quickly and then we have to wait 3 or 4 months for more cards. But that's probably going to happen because Games Workshop has, unfortunately, a chronic issue of underestimating how popular and how necessary these card packs are to play in their game systems. But I'm going to play it out and see if the hypotheses generated by me and other competitive players are true. So like what we're going to do is play teams that basically abuse the initiative system and see how far we can break it before Games Workshop fix it. Because very abusable, which is great, but also bad. But I think overall Approved Ops 2025 is good, and hopefully they change it back. It just, as I said, I really miss scouting. Scouting, irrespective of the balance it added to the game, was an identity of Kill Team. And it's just like, we're just replacing it with ponderous roll-offs that will add more analysis paralysis. But there are good elements to the bad. But that's pretty much it for me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video, if you found it useful and helpful. Do you agree or disagree? Remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate code Games, an affiliate code Discord code at Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'm just going to shout out my patrons. So for my adepts of the crit, I have Tom, the Houston Toad, Super Cow Nick, Mr. Meatwad, Marshall, Lucas, Graham, Fangzu, Draken, Dan, Dado Goldens, Chris, Alex, Amorphium, and Alexis. So thank you so much for your support. It really means a lot to me. Help support the channel. But yeah, I've got all my all my Tomb World reviews out, as well as this. So check them out. I'm going to play some more missions and we'll see how it is. I am really enjoying the crit ops on Tac Ops. I just hate the initiative change with every fiber of my being. I just really miss scouting. Like, that was just some nice counterplay because I was able to like correctly usually outpsych my opponent and like decide where I would like to go first or second. So it was more controllable instead of just this random rolling off. Endless rolling off. Decide your kill team by rolling off operatives. Select your operatives by rolling. Decide your equipment by rolling off. But, you know, remember, no matter what happens with the Approved Ops 2025 changes, you always have a chance to win as long as you can roll a crit.